The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, listener, and welcome to Leadership Podcast. This is The Big Issue, where we are going to discuss the political drama playing out in Anambra State ahead of the November 6th governorship election. With me in the studio today, I have three gentlemen, Chibuzo Ukebe, Tunde Oguntola, and of course, Kunle Olasami. Gentlemen, welcome to today's Big Issue.
Thank you.
Chibuzo, bring us up to speed as to the drama playing out in Anambra State, particularly on the exclusion of a former central bank governor, Charles Soludo, and a former boss of the Transport Corporation, Valentine Ozigbo.
Yes, thank you for having me here today. What we have in Anambra State is a classic example of the politics of the courts, if you like to put it that way. We've been shown a roller coaster of legal, display and mastery of what political actors can do using the courts. Now, in PDP, as we speak, there are conflicting court orders on who should be the candidate as it stands. There's a court order that recognizes Chukwuma, the elder brother of Chris Ubai, party chieftain of the state, and another which recognizes Valentine Ozigbo. As of today, these are the two people tussling for that ticket, and they both have court orders backing their claim to the candidacy. In APGA, the situation is no different. You have the Honorable Chukwuma Michael Umeoji, and you have Chukwuma Soludo also having got papers
as the battle of the Chukwumas,
pushing for their candidacy. The only place you have is APC and the YPP, where it appears to be a lot more calm. So as it stands now, there is no telling how far this is going to drag within the PDP and APGA. Perhaps most of the drama we see there is maybe because these two parties appear to be the most potent ones to pick, the ticket. But it just shows the extent to which political actors will go to drag out a win, in the elections.
Well, Tunde, you covers the INEC. Why will INEC exclude the name of Professor Chukwuma Soludo from the Anambra contest and his counterpart from the PDP, Valentine Ozigbo? What is INEC reason for all this?
Well, I recall that in January 2021, INEC released the timetable as well as schedule of activities to govern the practice of the election, which I also believe is in the hands of all the political gladiators as well as the party chieftains. You understand me? So, as it is now, it's so surprising that the name of the candidates of the Victor Oye-led faction, which is in the official website of the INEC, will be excluded out. It's surprising, and I think I can say INEC did not really do well for the party, because I have made inquiries. I asked INEC, who did you recognize? Who did you in the APGA? Because there was issues before now that who is the authentic candidate for this election, and they told me that just go to our website, you will see it's Victor Oye.
Leadership, authentic leadership of APGA. And
surprisingly now, is the candidates which won the primaries for the APGA name was not
the faction.
Well, you call it faction. I won't call it faction, Mr. Kunle.
I can't call it faction INEC is concerned, there is no faction.
But surprisingly, I think I'll go back to say that the faction's name is the one that is presented to us as the party, as well as its particulars has been placed. It's shocking. It's shocking to me, and I think it's not really right for our democracy, owing to the fact that, well, so far the Southeast has been calm. no issues. Before now, there had been burning of INEC offices, but within the couple of weeks and maybe a month now, everyone has been calm. So there will be no need, I think, for this cross practice. INEC has always said it, that parties should ensure that there's not cross primary. I think, but all these factions, they are not really doing well for our democracy. Why will the courts be the court? Why will the courts always decide who will run for an election? INEC has said it openly that they are open to court judgments. They are ready to say, if you are the authentic candidate and if courts just recognize you, then we have no duty. Although, yes, of course, it's not the duty of the INEC to recognize anybody, in as much as they are not the court. The court has the right over the INEC to superintend whatever they say. So that's it for now.
Yeah, Kunle, there are a lot of legal fireworks ongoing. In even APC that Chibuzor are called calm.
Yeah.
APC is not calm for now. It's a graveyard piece. There are people challenging the emergence of Andy Uba as the governorship candidate of the APC. So there are ongoing legal fireworks.
Battle, yeah.
Yes, in APC, PDP, and of course, APGA. Can you make sense of all these litigations? What implications for the November 6th governorship election in Anambra?
If I may recall, or if I may flashback, you will agree with me that since 1999, Anambra particularly has never been free from crisis when it comes to election. You remember a former governor in that state was abducted or was kidnapped, or I don't know which.
For some hours.
Yes. At the same time, a court also removed that same governor from office, which is unconstitutional. And then if we have to talk about what is going on in the state now, I think I will advise the CGN has always been saying it, that judges should be careful the way they shun out, the way they issue court orders to politicians. And it is expected that as election is approaching, the November 6th election is approaching, all these kind of orders flying here and there are expected. So, but I will say that the judges needs to be careful not to play into the politicians, into the hands of the politicians. And the INEC too should try to do the right thing so that politicians, being who they are, will not mess them up in the coming election.
Now, I'll still stay with you, Kunle. There is an issue raised by Tunde about INEC. Now, in disqualifying or in excluding Professor Charles Soludo, what INEC actually is saying is that Honorable Chukwuma Michael Umeoji is the right candidate of the APGA. Now, Victor Oye is recognized as the authentic national chairman of APGA. So how come his candidate is not the rightful candidate of the party for election, while a candidate of
another faction,
which is not recognized, by INEC, is INEC confused?
I think I may not be in a position to say that INEC whether INEC is confused or not.
Okay.
But what I will say is that if truly the Oye-led faction are interested, because politicians, they don't trust themselves. You may be saying something else and be doing another thing. But I agree with you that INEC recognized the Oye-led faction and automatically their candidate should be recognized. But if indeed they see former CDN governor Charles Soludo as their candidate, I think they should go to court and challenge the decision of INEC not to recognize their candidate.
Now, Chibuzo, let me also continue on the confusion on the part of INEC. Does that means INEC witnessed the primary of a faction of APGA as against the authentic leadership of APGA? How do we describe it? Or INEC is just being, directed by court orders?
Well, it is unfortunate that INEC has to be caught in this web of legal fireworks, which, if you ask me, beams the light on the need for the judiciary to step up to the game. It's unfortunate that also that it appears nothing was learned from the drama that played out in 2016. Because what we see now appears to be a replay of the explosion of legal documents and legal court orders that played out in 2016. And I'm talking about the Ondo, Edo, and Edo experience, where at the end of the day, it got to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court was quite embarrassed that lower courts could be playing ping pong with legal, order, with court orders and stuff. So I think it is important that the judiciary puts its feet down on this and make it very clear that we shouldn't be having this kind of embarrassing, because for me, I think it's embarrassing that you could have two courts issue the same, verdict or judgment, in the space of time. And it appears that these politicians are just playing these judges left, right, and center. One would have expected that lessons would have been learned from the 2016 experience, but it appears none of that is happening. And politicians being what they are, they would never change. So one would expect that the judiciary will step up, and cause for some sanity to be done. Because as it stands, what would INEC do? INEC just has to respect what the court says. If a court order says do this, INEC cannot afford to do otherwise. Doing that one way or the other, we pit them against one other party.
Sure.
So it's critical that the judiciary, which ought to be the arbiter in this case, steps up and stamp its authority on this issue.
But if I may also buttress what Chibuzo just said, I remember in 2015, President Buhari would have been stopped from contesting the presidential election in 2015. I think there was an allegation against him. I can't remember now. I can't remember.
Certificate.
No, I think certificate came. Yes, there was certificate in 2015. Yes, I remember. Yes, that was the issue. The certificate issue came in 2015, and I remember the CJN then, Mahmoud Mohammed, retired now, told all the judges not to grant ex parte order, that parties should appear before the court and address the court. We got to know this when, after the election, the CGN addressed the media, where there was an event at the Supreme Court where CGN in his speech said that he averted crisis in the 2015 election by telling the judges not to grant ex parte. Anyhow, he said so. I remember very well. So the point I'm trying to make now is that I think, like you said, the judiciary should put their feet down and ensure that the proper thing is done, and not allow politicians to play them like chess game.
Well, today, immediately after an election, you don't get to hear party crisis. And few years thereafter, you don't hear party crisis. But the moment it is few months to another election, there will be crisis as to who is the authentic leader of a party. Why do we always have this?
Well, that's the sad part of democracy, I must say. Because let me give you an example now. Where is Atiku? When last you hear from Atiku? Atiku has been off media for a while now. But let's just see, when the time for campaign for 2023 election will start now, you see Atiku. So that's the same thing with all politicians. In fact, if you go to most state offices before election, there are most state offices of political parties. It's like a graveyard. You see grasses everywhere. So, but once it's election time, that's when you see the grading, the cleaning of the offices, and all the rest. That's say, okay, yes, they are now ready to bring in money. Because there was a time that somebody asked, what does it take me to contest for a senatorialship election? I said, can you burn 500 million naira? Meaning, can you watch 500 million naira burn in fire? If yes, you can contest. But if no, you don't need to contest. I said that these politicians, They have the money. They always keep it, even at the expense of their people, at the expense of their home.
Their
To
constituency.
execute electoral war.
Yes, and that money is on ground to woo whoever they want to at that point. And INEC always said, they want them against the Anambra primary because they know that the money is on ground. All of them want to be the authentic candidates. They have the money for the judges. They have the money to spend on media. They have money to spend on the voters and as well as the electorate. So these politicians, I think they are one of our major problems in this country. Politics, they tend to politicize everything, the whole party process. How can Victor Oye be recognized
in your website,
on the official website of INEC? And when we see the list of candidates released by INEC, the Jude Okoye's faction's name, that will be there. It's uncalled for. This is sad. I think we need to play politics in line with global practices.
Global best practices, but that is for now missing on the Nigerian political arena. Now, Chibuzo, let me come back to you.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the politics proper.
Okay.
Without sounding or without prejudice to all these matters before the court. Yeah. Now, before we enter the studio, there were two judgments from Anambra State High Court, one in favor of Chukwuma and one in favor of Valentine Ozigbo, that both should be recognized as PDP candidate for the November 6th governorship election. We know this is not possible. It has to be one. What does this portend for PDP in the forthcoming poll? Briefly.
Well, we might just have to go back to what played out in 2016, because I think what we are having is a repeat of that. As you recall, in the Ondo and Edo elections, we had the PDP having two candidates, and that had to drag out for a very long time.
And it affected the party.
And it did affect the party. So ultimately, this might be a replay of that. It's unfortunate that political parties in Nigeria don't seem to have their act together. More so, it's very unfortunate that our political culture is far from where it ought to be. There's so much immoral activity going on in the political parties. And I think it's at the heart of why we are having all of this why call it frivolous now? I will be trivializing to call it frivolous, but very expensive political joke that we are seeing all over the place.
Well, gentlemen, we need to go on a short break. When we come back, we shall look at the chances of each political party and their candidate.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
The Big Issue, breaking down the issues that matter.
Well, welcome back. I see with me my in-house analyst, Chibuzo, Tunde, and Kunle, discussing the political drama playing out in Anambra State ahead of the November 6th governorship election in the state. Before we went on break, we look at the chances of the PDP vis-a-vis the the litigation bedeviling the party. Now, Kunle, this Anambra race, before now, was tagged a 4-horse race between APGA, YPP, APC, and PDP. Now with this crisis, what is your take?
I think we all know, and it's a notorious fact that the South. Okay, let me put it this way: Anambra State is traditionally APGA state. APGA owns that state politically. And I think they've been ruling that state for more than 15 years now, if I'm not mistaken. And the only thing that I see that can still stop APGA from winning that election, from winning the November 6th election, is this crisis. If this crisis is well managed, I think APGA will still come out. Other parties may try, but I believe APGA will clinch.
Well, Tunde Kunle said Anambra is traditionally...
The crisis is well...
Yeah, Anambra is traditionally APGA state, but I know Anambra is historically PDP state. In 1990 now, Tunde, with this crisis in APGA, APC, and PDP, 3 out of the 3 major political parties, is this a signal that YPP, Young Progressive Party, might take the day at the end of the day?
Well, I would say YPP is wise. Simple. Look at the list presented by INEC. The highest certificate listed by NECO. Not even why.
So nobody can go and challenge him anywhere.
Nobody can challenge him anywhere. He's trying to play safe. He's watching others, how the whole crisis is unfolding, and he's trying to play safe with himself. You understand? So I think YPP is a party to beat for this election. I'm not thinking about the PDP or APGA. If he can win, if Fayumba can win the senatorial election, the YPP is almost an unknown party in Anambra before now.
And he won a senatorial election.
So far, so good. He's having a clean sheet. No, while not thinking that maybe either Charles and the Chukwumakers can also do wonders. Well, for now, Uba is just putting his house in order.
I think
he's also a good candidate.
I think YPP chances is limited to Nnewi axis of the state, and he is from Nnewi,
yes,
and he has the support of his people. I am not sure he will have the support of the entire Anambra.
The rest of Anambra. Now, Chibuzo, if Kunle said APGA might take the day, and Tunde is saying it might be the underdog, the YPP.
I'll be the referee.
That is our Senator Ifeanyi's party who has the money. You know, he has watchers.
He has the money.
Now, does that mean PDP and APC, who are also favorites, might just be onlookers in this race?
Well, I think the dynamics are still too early and still too radical to rule out anybody at this point. I think also that the issues they have within their parties are going to drag out to the Supreme Court, most likely, to get a clear direction on what's going to happen. I also do think that at the end of the day, whoever gets heads up or heads down, whichever case, in either APC, in either PDP or APGA, is likely going to play, and I call it devil's game within his party. A lot of anti-party is going to play out within these two parties. But again, the question remains, why is the tension or the conflict within APGA and PDP so intense? Is it because it appears they have about the clearest chances of winning that election? Perhaps, because it's only going to get hot in a place where they think they have what it takes to win the election. And I'm talking about structure. He made reference to YPP not having a broader structure beyond the Navy, and it's not far from the truth, So it's going to be really interesting, because I know that the outcome of the tussle within the PDP and APGA will determine who gets,
who carries the day. But I'm coming. If Kunle, if at the end of the day this crisis remain unresolved and APGA will be going ahead in the race with Chukwuma Michael, don't you think there might be protest votes? Because do you think Anambra people will leave
it is possible
a person in the stature and caliber of Chukwuma Soludo for Chukwuma Michael?
It is possible that there will be protest votes, and it is also possible. Okay, let me put it this way. It is possible that there will be protest votes, and that will depend on the acceptance and popularity of the other candidate. That's the Umeoji. It will depend on the acceptance and popularity. And for me, I expect, for the sake of APGA, because their chances are so bright in winning the election, I expect that they will come together and put this crisis behind them and go into the election. But hold on. But I am looking at Chibuzo said something the other time. He was talking about APGA, the chances of APGA and PDP. I will give it to PDP if APGA is going to lose out in all this, because, like I said earlier, hold on. No, I mean in their if they will be consumed in their crisis. Okay. That's what I'm saying. If APGA is going to be consumed in their crisis, I will give it to PDP, because if you look at it, I said earlier that
for now, PDP has no candidate in this election. Are you aware?
Yes,
for now,
I'm aware.
For now,
I'm aware. But I want to believe that before the election, this issue of true
who is the rightful candidate?
The right candidate will be resolved. I want to believe that. Now I'm looking at. I said earlier that APGA, Anambra traditionally is APGA state,
not historically.
Well, I agree with you. And then if you look at it too, PDP traditionally has the southeast.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if I want to believe that if they are not going for APGA, they will prefer PDP to APC or YPP. And like I said, YPP's chances is even limited to Nnewi. It's limited to Nnewi. So the voters, electorates there will prefer PDP if APGA is not going to take it. That is my take.
Well, Chibuzo, Kunle seems to forget that PDP is gradually losing the grip in the southeast. But then there is one man we are not even, talking about very well. The APC's governorship candidate, Senator Andy Uba, is a former presidential aide, former senator, and don't forget, in 2007, he won the Anambra governorship election on the platform of the PDP. Until where the Supreme Court said no, the tenure of the then governor, Peter Obi, had not elapsed. Now, don't you think this man has a lot of credentials to his credit to spring a surprise in the November 6th governorship election?
When I spoke earlier, I tried not to take anything away from anybody. Because as it is now,
too close to call.
There's just no telling how it's going to swing. Now, of course, Andy Uba's emergence as candidate generated a lot of heat within the party. Some big shots within the party grumbled seriously and outrightly rejected his candidacy. But I think in some way, the party is trying to mend that fence and try to see how, they can get everybody along to back him, and support him one way or the other. Andy Uba is a politician. He has been around. He understands the dynamics of Anambra politics. And so at that level, it will be risky to rule him out of this. Don't forget, too, he will be having federal support, whether you like it or not.
That's what I wanted to say.
I wouldn't want to drag it. He has his Achilles heel.
Yes.
In the likes of Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige, George Mogalu, and the rest of them who are saying, no, you are not the candidate, and we will fight it to the end.
What APC has that PDP and APGA does not have is a unifying force, which is the presidency. The presidency still
which
has
rein all
the
of them
presidency
in.
And the party at the ruling level
can rein all of them in.
Can pull them all in and say, okay, guys, let's come to some sort of consensus on this. Take it easy, take it easy, take it easy. We still have the machinery to ensure everybody is accommodated in this. Either you get from the state or you get at the national. So the APC has that edge way above the APGA and PDP. And so that is why I think it would be a lot easier to rein in, all of these people in and ensure that, Andy Uba gets it. Don't forget, the APC is quite desirous of getting more states.
Especially in the
How
Southeast.
far would they go to make that happen? It will be left to the party leadership at the national to decide on.
Now, let me stay with you, Chibuzo. Now, that was APC. Let's talk about PDP.
Yeah.
Now, Valentine Ozigbo.
Yeah.
He just, retired from the corporate world,
yeah.
embraced politics. And Ugochukwu Uba comes from a political family in Anambra State, the Ubas.
True.
Now, this time is chance of dislodging Uba, that's Ozigbo,
Yes.
from getting the PDP ticket. And what does it portend for PDP? Will it be better for PDP to have an Uba on Ozigbo at the end of the day?
Well, the political history of Anambra State has a lot of Uba imprints. The Uba dynasty has made a lot of imprints on the
landscape, political
landscape of Anambra State. Now, it will be left for the Anambra people to judge whether or not they want to have more of the Ubas, play out in their politics, or whether they feel, okay, it's time we look in a different direction. So, to that extent, it is to be left, like I said, it will be left to the Anambra people. But if you put Ozigbo and Ugochukwu side by side, Ugochukwu is a doctor, not a medical doctor, but I think he
holds a PhD.
You have to check up on that too. But these are people who have strong academic pedigree. Ozigbo he's been there. He has
academics
broad...
don't matter in politics.
Oh, no, of course, no, because at the end of the day, it's about putting your best foot forward.
Does he have the political wherewithal?
Now,
the structure to win this election if he eventually gets the tickets?
The problem of PDP in Anambra State has not been because PDP does not have the capacity to win.
Division.
The problem has always been the internal wrangling.
Yeah, division.
That has weighed the party down and held the party down. The bulk of people in APGA are PDP members. The bulk of people in APC are PDP members. So it has always been the case. Now, that was why I said earlier that the capacity of the party to resolve their crisis on time and much more comprehensively will determine how it goes for them. But you can be sure that at the end of the day, whoever comes tops would always have some form of internal wrangling and anti-party thing that will work against the party eventually. Because the kind of political rivalry we're seeing is getting really deep and really, how do I put it now? Ego has really come into it. And so the other party might not stop at anything until, he has his way.
Oh, okay. Well, Kunle, both of you and Chibuzo actually spoke about the earlier political parties are able to resolve this crisis, the better for them.
Yes.
But then don't you think also the judiciary has a role to play by resolving these matters before them?
Definitely.
Quite on time, and also stop entertaining all manners of litigations?
Definitely. Like I said earlier, the leadership of the judiciary has always warned that judges should not grant orders.
Ex parte orders.
At will. They shouldn't. Yes, they should just look at. Most of the time, they want that they should call parties to address them. That's why sometimes when a party goes to court with an ex parte motion, most of the time, especially in political matters, the judge will ask that party to put the other party on notice. Putting him on notice means that you are informing him. You have to inform the other party that so case is before this court, so you come and appear before the court.
To be resolved once and for all.
Yes,
no need for granting.
Yes.
Ex parte
then before I leave, before we go to another, I want to. You said something about APC making an inroad into the
southeast.
Zone,
yes.
I want to ask a question. When David Umahi, right, of Ebonyi State, and Uzodinma of Imo State became governor, when Umahi moved to APC, and when Supreme Court installed Uzodinma as the governor, I want to ask, what was the reaction, or what were the reactions of the people in the state?
Well, we need to go to the streets of the Imo and Ebonyi to get that answer. This is where we're going to wrap up the show for the day. This is where we're going to wrap up the show for the day. Thank you, Chibuzo. Thank you, Tunde, and thank you, Kunle, for being with me. And to you, listener, for listening to us from where you are. Thank you for staying right with us up to the end of this episode. Remember, you can listen to more shows that suits your interest on podcast.leadership.ng. And also, you can subscribe and follow us at Leadership NGA for more interesting content. Until we come your way next time, goodbye and stay safe.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.